Welcome to the world of sci-fi stories, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel. Enjoy the listening. We revived an ancient war machine. They never saw it coming. This was it. The battle was about to begin. If we lose, this would be the battle to end all battles. If we won, the onslaught will be continued without ending. On the horizon, the Arava wasn't genocidal. Slaver civilization needs its slaves. If we lost, we would survive as a species. But what makes us human would not. We would be slaves with crushed spirits. Bred to serve our conquerors, we fought each other like demons, but the slavers were more numerous, though slightly less advanced. We fought them as no one has fought before. We earned their respect. But they couldn't allow us to win the fight. It would mean the end of their way of life. So we fought system after system, planet after planet, moon after moon, asteroid after asteroid. It was a numbers game, and we just didn't have them. Slowly on and on they pushed. They paid an unholy price for every inch of space taken away from us. But they kept pushing. Their losses were immense, but they had the numbers, and we didn't. They kept pushing until there was no other place for us to go. Their invasion fleets were devastated, but so were ours. Their jumping technology was inferior. They couldn't jump deep in our sun's gravity. Well, they jumped at Pluto's orbit. Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars were on the other side of the sun, and that was both good and bad. For both they had superior numbers, but not enough to attack us from both ways on the ecliptic. So they jumped to a distance of Neptune's orbit, vertical to the ecliptic plane on the side of Earth. We couldn't use Saturn's, Jupiter's, and Mars' fortifications, but we didn't have to worry for them either. They couldn't jump deep in the sun's gravity. Well, but we could if needed. We could support defending them, but this would divide us, and the numbers were bad. Really bad. In the end, Rava's fleet decided to attack Earth directly. If they won, the rest of the intersolar colonies would have no other option than to surrender or go in a suicidal boom. But humans in general don't do that. Doom. SPO. As long as I breathe, I hope. Do you know the story of Pandora's box? Actually, it wasn't a box. It was a vase, a large jar. Pandora opened the jar, and all the evils was spilled in the world. Frightened, she closed the jar, but it was too late. Only Elpis hope remained in the box. Have you ever questioned yourself about the real meaning behind this story? I had, and to me the answer was very simple, very straight. If hope is something good, then why was it placed in the jar with all the evils? For me, hope is the evilest of all evils. If Rava won, then what makes us human would be forever crushed. We would survive as a species, but we wouldn't survive as humans. Our fleet yards work day and night to build more ships, not only to make our last stand, but to continue the fight. Rava weren't fools. Their lines were stretched to their limits, but their war machine wasn't set on idle. Even if they failed, they would have the numbers to restart the fight. We devastated their initial invasion fleet, but at the end all we had were one carrier with 200 fighters, one hastily repaired battleship kept by duct tape, and the will of its crew, 3 battle cruisers, 5 cruisers, and 30 frigs and corvettes. In the end, we revived something from our history books, a gunship having tripled the size of an attack bomber. It carried the speed of a fighter and the punch of a frig. One unknown, it hadn't a chance in hell against an enemy ship larger than a frigate, but they were relatively cheap to produce, and they could stand the punch of enemy fighters and bombers. Truth is, we need more than 30 of them to take down an enemy super battleship, but their role was not to take down capital ships. It was to devastate the enemy fighters and to weaken the larger enemy warships. We built thousands of them. They gutted the enemy. They fought the good fight, but in the end only 150 of them were left. Rava had 3 super battleships, 10 battleships, 15 battle cruisers. No heavy or light cruisers were left, and about 200 frigs and corvettes. Their carrier had not survived the invasion, but all of their ships equal to or larger than a battle cruiser hosted their share of fighter squadrons, or what was left of them. Their troop carriers waited in the conquered system. 3 jumps away. Human ships could jump further than the enemy's and had the ability of inter-system jump, so it was not safe for troop carriers to be near the battle. Showed the unthinkable for the enemy happen. As I said, Revivo. We're no fools. It was bad. It was very bad. Without the gunships we would stand no chance in hell, and even with them our chances were just slightly larger than infinitesimal. We, the crews of gunships, bombers and fighters, knew that we were cannon fodder. We would fight and give our lives just to harass and weaken the enemy, just to buy time for our warships. Gunships would go first to protect bombers and fighters from what was left of the enemy fighter squadrons, and then split gunships to attack their super battleships and bombers to attack their lighter warships. It was as good a tactic as it could be. Their frigs and corvettes couldn't stand the attack of the gunships, and the bombers used concurrently as cannon fodder to protect their heavy ships from what was left of our heavy ships. We go first, take as many of their ships with us as we could, and die in the hope that we thinned the enemy fleet enough for our heavier warships to have a chance to win the day. A slight chance was the better we could hope for. A gunship had a crew of 5. We knew that we would die, but there was no chance in hell to go quietly into the night. We would draw blood until we couldn't. Guys, are you ready? Gunner 1. Go. Gunner 2. Go. Gunner 3. Go. Engineering, go. We waited for the order, each one lost in his thoughts. We had said our goodbyes, we had kissed our wives and children, and we went to fight in ancient Sparta. The mother, or the wife of the warrior, gave him the shield, saying, "Epaz with it, or on it." We knew that we wouldn't survive the fight, and even if humans won, there would be nothing of the left to bring to our homes. By our comrades, we would die as humans in order for the rest to survive it. Humans, I got the order in my comm line. This is it, guys. It really was an honor. Same here, Cap, said Johnston. Gunner number 1. Louise, it was indeed a beautiful friendship, said Masterson. Gunner number 2, an avid Casablanca fan. We would always have Paris, said Pap. Anastasio. Gunner number 3, and also an avid Casablanca fan. Play it again, Sam, I ordered, smiling at our engineer. He pumped up the volume, and on we charged. You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You'll fire your musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you'd better stand. There's no turning back. The bugle sounds as the charge begins, but on this battlefield, no one wins. The smell of acrid smoke and ash breath as you plunge into a certain death. The horse, he sweats with fear. We break to run. The mighty roar of the Russian guns, and as we race towards human wall, the screams of pain as my comrades fall. We hurdle bodies that lay on the ground, and as the Russians fire another round, we get so near yet so far away. We won't live to fight another day. We get so close, near enough to fight, when a Russian gets me in his sights. He pulls the trigger, and I feel the blow. A burst of rounds takes my horse below, and as I lay there gazing at the sky, my body's numb and my throat is dry, and as I lay forgotten and alone, without a tear, I draw my parting groan.